Okay, today I'm going to give you some tips and tricks of operating the LeePro1000 reloading die. And as I operate the press here, you might notice a couple of things. There's no case holder up here, which is normally I'm doing these one at a time. And I just found that works a whole lot better than having that case holder. I'm also feeding the bullets in one at a time, and there are other ways of doing that, of course, but I found that this really works the best. I'm also, as I'm loading here, I'm looking on the other side and I'm verifying that there is powder in the shell holder, or in the shell right there, and I can do that because I have this light. We're looking right down on the empty case and I can see powder in there, and that's due to this light that I have held on with a magnet. Now, if you look carefully, or you can hold the camera still, you can see the powder in there. If I take the light away, it just looks like a black hole. So the idea is to position the light in such a way as you can visually ensure that the powder is there. Okay, this is a LeePro1000 press, and we're looking at the primer feed and the little button that seats the primer. When you cycle the machine, if the primers come out when there's no shell in there, something's wrong, it's not working well. I'll just cycle the machine, there's nothing in it. It's going to go around, and you can see as I go down, there comes a primer. That's an indication that it's not working well. With no shell in the shell holder, there should never be a primer that comes out, and that means that this feed mechanism down here, right there, is hung up or not functioning properly, and usually a disassembly and a cleaning of it is sufficient to solve the problem. Here's a couple of tricks with the Lee primer feeder. One of the things that's notorious for this thing is these little channels that feed the primer in there to spread apart. So as you can see, I added a couple of cable ties here and here, and that just helps keep it a little tighter and helps prevent some of the primers from getting sideways and jammed. I also have a little cotter pin here that I found got a little bend handle on it to handle it, but when you're handling this and you want to put it in the machine without dropping all your primers, you put that in as a little stop, and now when you tip it up, the primers don't come out, and it's easy to extract once you put it in the machine. So that saves you spilling quite a few primers on the floor. Okay, now we're looking at the primer feeder once again after it's been cleaned and reassembled right down there, and the press is empty, there's no cases in it, and as I cycle it, you should not see any primers come up. Okay, no primer, no primer, one more time, no primer. So now that part of the press is working well. Okay, one of the most important things here is this action bar. This is the part right here. And you see how this is loose, and sometimes it'll even fall down pretty freely. If this is ever jammed up or not rotating freely or not free to slide up and down like this one is, that usually is indication something's wrong, and it's probably going to knock out the timing in the bottom of this shell holder here, or case holder. So it's always very important that that action bar is kept free and moving. And if it's not, the best thing to do is to disassemble this whole thing, take the action bar out of here, lubricate it, clean it. Probably the best thing to lubricate it with is a very light gun oil, no grease or anything, because that thing must be floating free. It goes inside of a plastic hexagon hole, and that must be free to move or your whole press will never work properly. Okay, here's another tip. This powder dispenser is just held in with this thumb wheel drive right here, and after a while it tends to loosen and spin around. So a simple trick to get rid of that is just take a pipe cleaner. This is actually a cleaning pipe cleaner from AR-15, and anyway, uses a pipe cleaner, wrap it around here, wrap it around something else, and then that prevents this thing from spinning when the press goes up and down. It's a real simple trick, but it really does work in keeping this all in the right position. I promised you some additional information about the lights I use on here. This is just a 12-volt automotive light. The key to the holder is to have a metal bracket so that you can use these little button magnets. That'll burn you. These get pretty hot, so you got to be careful with them. That's why I like these LED arrays. You can get at an automotive store, and they're attached. Both of these are attached to just a leftover 12-volt battery charger like this. Most of them are marked, and they'll say 12 volts, and you look for a 12-volt light. Again, something with a bracket where you can attach a magnet, so the magnet will attach there. But the advantage of the LED lights is the fact that they stay cool. You get a really great light out of this. You can attach these just like that, but they don't burn you. So these cost a few dollars. Those are usually almost for free, but there's a real advantage to using the LED lights because they really stay cool and they don't burn you.